Welcome back to another life lesson learned, brought to you by Tim Unscripted. Today, I am going to be covering the second core of credibility, intent. And basically, we're going to run down this flashcard. And the question is, what is your agenda? Intent is your fundamental motive or agenda and the behavior that follows. Motive. Motive inspires the greatest trust is genuine caring about people, your values, and the quality of what you do. Agenda. The agenda that inspires the greatest trust is seeking mutual benefit, genuinely wanting what's best for everyone involved. In behavior, the behavior that is best creates credibility. Let me roll that back. behavior The behavior that best creates credibility is acting in the best interests of everyone. And I hit on integrity, which is the first core of credibility. And so this is the second core of credibility out of four. And for me, intent is expressing what my actions and motives and agenda are before I act. And a lot of times, because I had a career in the U.S. Navy, in addition to a professional career when I was serving in the reserve component of the United States Navy, as well as what I was doing in corporate America, I could be very confident in making sure that my intent was mapped out well and well understood in the Navy. And a lot of that, I think, boiled down to the boundaries and guardrails that are in place, in addition to the higher standard by which the sailors, and not to show any, not to throw shade against Marines, but all of the branches of the service. The Marines know that, of course, in the Navy, they ride in our equipment to get from place to place. So love you, Marine Corps brothers and sisters. Not trying to upset y'all, but if this creates a firestorm and it gets more likes and subscriptions to the channel, well, heck, so be it. Anyway, getting back to intent. For me as a Navy chief, expressing intent within the clear boundaries and the guidelines, and of course, all of the instructions and, all the protocol involved, that was an easy thing because it was fairly clear and it was always backed up by policy, process, and procedure. Doing it out in the commercial world, that's a bit of a different story. And a lot of it is, there is politics involved. And, I try not to play politics, but I understand politics is part of work dynamics. And so while I may express my intent as in, okay, we need to take and we need to fix this defect in the code base so that our users are able to do what they need to do as far as committing these orders and getting those orders processed so that we can ship. That's my motive. It seems pretty straightforward and clear. And my agenda is altruistic. We as a team are trying to do this in service of our customers or clients. And my behavior is fairly direct, that it's like, okay, we see the defect. We know that this is impacting a customer or client experience, and we want to fix it. We want to make this right so that nobody is inconvenienced and so that people are not suffering unnecessarily because our software just doesn't perform the way it should perform as we've described it and as we've delivered it. Now, it doesn't mean that there might be some sort of thing going on behind the scenes with the marketing or with sales or, any of the other, supporting teams around the product development folks. That being said, while I might be able to take and really be driving a tight line and intent and have all of the best interest of everyone involved front and center and not be seeking personal benefit out of doing a thing, it doesn't mean that the people around me, or worse, people that I'm not necessarily directly connected to and having routine conversations with, aren't driving an agenda, driving because of politics or because of whatever those motives are, a different lane where they're perfectly happy letting that defect sit. And it happens, folks. You know this, I know this. This is oftentimes the way that business operates, but it doesn't negate the need for us to maintain our cores of credibility, because when we become inconsistent in the way that we work, when we become inconsistent in the way that we respond to our friends and our family, when we don't map out the intent and make sure that everybody's on board and we're moving in the right direction for mutual benefit, this is when things really quite quickly get off the rails. So, all of that to say this: think through your intent before committing to taking action. Respond rather than react. That's really the advice coming off of this life lesson learned, because I've lived it. Brought to you by Tim Unscripted. Stay tuned. We're going to hit number 3 and number 4 of the 4 cores of credibility in the next couple of videos.